I struggle with really dealing with hardware wallets.
There is something on my node. There is I saw a new plugin today which seems to allow you to easily put multiple cold card wallets to create a multi-sig wallet. So we're still early in this multi-sig term of, I mean, user interface, but
it's cute to hear
we'll see.
It's especially funny that it's a Bitcoin meetup and just all Bitcoin meetups.
Yes, we'll see a bit of thing in the few months.
Yeah, exactly.
Trezor fucked up, definitely fucked up a lot of people who are trying to implement compatibility, and that's
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I just couldn't believe that. They just like disabled paths, right?
My headset gets foggy though, and everything gets blurry.
Not
Do you guys have that?
I've had it once or twice when playing Super
under
Hunt.
the assumption that the software wallet is compromised.
It's also really hot and muggy in New York right now.
That software wallet could also not broadcast the transaction and send it directly to the attacker pool.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, the reason
In which
That
case
makes
they
sense
don't
then.
disclose the
Yeah.
transaction to the rest of the
see a
network.
lot of like
Okay,
animations
okay.
and
Thanks
stuff
for
'cause it
clarifying.
uses
It's a
your
good point.
So there are a lot of conditions.
Oh, yeah.
Number one, you
Is
have
it
to have
hook up to your computer?
large enough to be
Yeah.
track a target.
Yeah.
And number
Yeah, I
two,
got
it can
a
only
Rift
be
S,
one
like an old
UTXO
Rift,
at a time that's attacked.
as a gift from a friend, and I just got this Lenovo gaming laptop for work. So it's actually
Like
the
you
first
need
time I've
four
had a Windows
inputs,
computer
you need
also.
4 signatures.
That's nice.
So
Yeah.
it is
I would
whatever
have.
transaction
Yeah,
the
in
attacker
hindsight,
gets you to
I'm not sure.
sign,
I just basically got the
the
quest
attack
because
is
I wanted
limited to the
to start
smallest
coming to
of
the
your
VR meetup.
UTXOs.
Yeah.
And
So it's like it's a
it was more
standalone thing.
expensive than a
But
couple
of course,
months
if
of
you have two big
before the,
UTXOs and a whole bunch of small ones, the attacker would just pick the
quarantine
two large
started
ones to
altogether.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
in hindsight, I should have maybe gotten something to hook up to
But
to my
you could, in
computer
theory,
for the better
have it
quality.
with more
But on
than
the other
two
hand, it's
inputs
pretty
as
cool to
well.
be able to go up in
So
the
I don't
living room
think
and
you
play
gain
there.
anything from
Right. Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Mm. The boundary thing is like really dope. The Guardian space.
Adam.
Very cool.
Hey, how are you?
No, actually, maybe you do.
I feel like
you ex player?
you actually.
I think
Yeah,
it's
they're
So
high.
wild.
The
They were
Rift, the
actually
Rift
the
S
sum
has
of all
a
but the
similar boundary
highest
system, but I think the Quest is really advanced because it
all
remembers
but the
specific
highest
areas.
one
Yeah.
that can be stolen.
Yeah.
But you need
Yeah. So I go to
and-
different parts of the house
and
and
attempts,
it'll
right?
fully
If there are
remember
10
everything,
UTXOs
which
and
is
they
so
want to
great.
steal 9 of
Convenient.
them.
That
I'm gonna
means
go get a
that
snack.
They need to get you to sign.
How you
What
doing?
did you say,
Yeah.
Matsuko?
Say again?
So
No,
every
everyone.
so for every UTXO that's looking to be stolen,
Yep.
you're gonna have to
What
How's
happened to
lockdown
Linux?
going?
times to continue.
Me? Oh yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm fine. Is
No,
it,
I
on the
think,
hardware?
are we still locked down? I don't even know anymore.
No.
Okay, that's it. Hope you had fun chit-chatting. Now we're starting. Awesome. It's great seeing you all. Take your places. So yes, so welcome to another Reckless VR meetup. It's really cool. Apparently, it's been a week since the last one. I know we're all surprised, but it's true. And yeah, so it's really great to see all of you. And again, we do these every weekend. If you're watching this at home and you're not with us in VR, then you should know that you can join us every Saturday for great meetups and great talks. We have an awesome audience here today. If you want to join, if you want to get invites, you can join Reckless VR on Telegram, or you can go to recklessvr.com and sign up with your email address and get invites to your inbox every week. We also have reckless_VR on Twitter, and you can follow that too. And before we continue, I want to say a few words from our sponsor, Kraken, that's sponsoring those meetups every week. So Kraken is the best exchange in the world for buying and selling Bitcoin. It has the tightest security, deep liquidity, and a great fee structure with no minimums or hidden fees. Whether you're looking for a simple fiat on-ramp or futures trading, Kraken is the place for you. So really thanks, Kraken, for supporting these events. And again, I'll remind you that we have video streaming. Everything that you say or do here is going to be public, so keep that in mind. The camera is right behind you, so you can wave if you want to. And yeah, try to stay in your place and not move too much, to not be distracting. And yeah, this is pretty much it. So today we have a very interesting talk by Ben Carman right here. Ben is from Suredbits, and he also worked on, he also contributed to other projects like Bitcoin Core and Wasabi Wallet and other cool stuff. And he's going to talk about DLCs, Discreet Log Contracts. And they allow creating trust minimized derivatives that use Bitcoin as collateral, but I'm not going to spoil the talk. I'm going to let Ben tell us about it. So thank you for joining us, Ben, and go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Udi. So hi, everyone. I'm Ben Carman, as Udi said. I work at Suredbits. We do a lot of Bitcoin and Lightning related things, but something we've been working on for the last few months is DLCs, or Discrete Log Contracts. But before we get into that, we need to know why we want to use a DLC. And the main problem is the Oracle problem, where if you have a smart contract that you want to put on any closed system like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Tron, whatever you want to do, you need a way to get data into that system that's external to it. Generally, this requires a trusted Oracle. And current solutions are either using like an escrow, or you have tokens that, or they aren't private, or they're extremely hard to scale, like we all know. So what is a DLC? A DLC stands for Discrete Log Contract. It's a contract based off an Oracle signature. These were originally proposed by Thaddeus Strija back in 2017. And actually the first one was executed back in early 2019 by CryptoGarage and Blockstream. And now CryptoGarage is working with us to help make DLCs a reality. So what should be an Oracle's role? An Oracle ideally should just be signing messages based on real world events. So these can be anything about like asset prices, sports scores, election results, what kills us in 2020, whatever. But ideally they all should be unaware of the contract. So this is for the Oracle and for the user. So you don't want regulators to be able to come in and make Oracles have to KYC their customers, and the customer doesn't want that either. As well as this creates more overhead for an Oracle instead of being able to just throw out signatures to a network. And you also want a way to punish dishonest Oracles. So if an Oracle is trying to like give people different results, that's not ideal. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. So you want to be able to punish that. So today we have something like traditional Oracle contracts. For an example, let's say Alice and Bob are betting the aliens come to Earth in 2020. And the contract expires at the end of the year, and Olivia will be signing if they do or do not come. So to do this, you would fund a 2 of 3 multi-sig for each party. And then at the end of the contract, let's say aliens did come and Alice is going to win her money. Either Alice and Bob can mutually close to send the money to Alice, or if Bob disappears, Alice and Olivia can sign a transaction to spend and Alice will receive her funds. To give you a quick preview of how this look, you'd have a funding transaction with Alice's inputs and Bob's inputs, which goes to a 2 of 3 multi-sig. And then Alice and Bob would both receive their change, like any standard transaction. And then there's a closing transaction, which would be spending a 2 of 3 multi-sig with either any of the party signatures, plus the payout to each party. And then once they get signatures, they're able to spend it. This has lots of problems, though. If 2 of the parties disappear, say Bob and Olivia both disappear, Alice is out of luck. Now those funds are lost forever. Also, Olivia, the Oracle, will be completely aware of the contract. She'll know who's being participated in it, who's receiving the funds. And so with that, she could collude much easily. And there's no way to stop her from doing this. If she signs for Alice and Bob saying aliens came, and for Carol and Dave that aliens didn't, there's no way to stop that because it's just a regular multi-sig signature. As well as it's not safe for like granularity and payouts. So if you want to do something where, let's say Alice gets half the money if we find alien life on another planet, but they don't come and invade us, well then it's not really safe to do because there's no way Bob to enforce that he's getting his half of the money back. So DLCs fix this. DLCs have a refund mechanism, so this allows it. So if any of the parties do disappear, Alice and Bob can get their money back without cooperation from anyone else. They also allow for safety and granularity of payouts, and as well, they allow for any amount of kind of payouts they want. So they can safely do our case where Alice and Bob get half the money if alien life is discovered, and they can also do something where, if the market rate for aliens being discovered is something, but they don't agree to that, they can set their own rate without needing to do any new fancy contract stuff. As well as it gives privacy to and from the Oracle. So the Oracle won't need to see any of the transactions that are being used, and they actually aren't even able to find the transactions if they wanted to. Also, for the oracles, they don't need to know their users. As long as the users are getting a signature from somewhere, they're able to execute their contract. And they're completely unaware if their signature is being used. So they have no way to know that Alice and Bob use their signature. And this is great because now a regulator can't come in and say, Alice is a bad guy. You can't be giving her signatures for her contracts, because now they have no liability in that way. Also, the oracles can equivocate. This equivocation means that you're giving one signature to a party and a different signature to a different party. This is a nice property in oracles that's achieved by if Olivia gave a signature to Alice and Bob saying aliens did invade, and then they gave a different signature to Carol and Dave saying they did invade, then these signatures can be used together, and you can steal Olivia's private key. So using that, they could Olivia could put like 50 Bitcoin up in a pay-to-pub key hash address. Now that's a stake to prove that she's going to be honest. And if she does become dishonest, someone can steal those and get retribution. So how do we do this? We'll do the same example again. Alice and Bob are betting if aliens visit Earth. Contract expires at the end of the year, and Olivia again is signing true or false. So instead of a 2 of 3 multisig, we're using a 2 of 2 multisig. And before we broadcast this funding transaction, they have to negotiate closing transactions for each outcome of the contract. So this will be a refund in case Olivia disappears, as well as in the true case, in the false case, or if we're doing the example from before where if we do find alien life, we'll make true and false cases for that as well. My thing got blocked. There it goes. So as an example, we got Alice's inputs, Bob's inputs, each other's change, and then two multisig. But quick stop here. If you do recognize this transaction, this is the exact same as a Lightning channel. So as a quick caveat, this is greatly increasing their privacy as well, because no one can even tell by looking at their transaction that it is a DLC. It just looks like what would be a Lightning transaction. So it's even greater, increasing their privacy. And then they have another closing transaction, the same as before, but a 2 of 2 multisig. But instead, when they give each other signatures, these will be invalid signatures that can only be made valid with the Oracle signature. This is done through either generally with adapter sigs or ECDSA script-to-scripts. So once they have the Oracle sig, they can take these two and combine them, and now they have a valid transaction with valid signatures that they can then broadcast on the event that they win. So as anything within Bitcoin, we always need to talk about its trade-offs and what could go wrong. DLCs luckily are pretty nice. There's not too many trade-offs. The main drawback is you need to store lots of signatures. So if you have something with like tens of thousands of outcomes, that could get very hairy and you need to store lots of signatures. Luckily, storage is cheap nowadays, but always something to keep in mind. And let's just go linearly with the number of outcomes. Also, the setup will require an extra round of communication where we need to exchange pub keys and then signatures, but no big deal. A nice property about DLCs is they're highly composable. A position can be trustlessly sold to another party. So if it's looking like aliens are invading and Alice wants out of her position, she could sell it to another party trustlessly as long as Bob cooperates. But if Bob doesn't cooperate, she still has a way to get out of the position by just creating a new DLC with her party that she's selling to. There's also allowance for multiple or interchangeable oracles. So like with something like Ethereum, like you generally need to go to that on-chain contract and use whatever oracle they're specifying. Versus with this, you can choose whatever amalgamation of oracles you want. And another thing that can do is oracles can cooperate with each other. So say Blockstream and Suredbits want to be partners and make an oracle of each other. They would just create a music signature, and then that can be used for anyone to say Blockstream and Suredbits both agree on this result. And you can aggregate events. So if you want to say this contract wins if Bitcoin's over 10K and ETH went to 0, then that's easy to do. You would just add the two signatures together and then use that for your final resulting transaction. Another great thing about them is privacy. TLC transactions, like we said before, look like standard 202 multi-sig transactions. So it could look like Blockstream Green, like a Lightning fund, a Lightning dual fund, what have you, whatever 202's multi-sigs can be. And the oracle, like we said before, does not know the nature of the contract or what their signature is being used for. So like we said, with like the example is Bitcoin over 10K, they don't know if that's being used for a contract that is saying is Bitcoin under 100K, if that contract is saying is Bitcoin over 1K. They're just putting on a signature that says like Bitcoin is this price, and people will be doing what they have with it. And another great thing about this is it breaks the common input heuristic, which hopefully a lot of you know, where chain analysis makes the assumption that any transactions inputs all correlate to the same wallet or same user. But with this, like a Lightning dual fund, they all are coming from two different parties. So this will either break their assumption and they can't use that on everyone's transaction, or just break their own wallet cluster. So it'll look like Alice and Bob are sharing UTXOs when they in fact are two different users. And scaling. DLCs are great because they scale relatively well. On-chain, you can aggregate them together to like with a coordinator or maybe a peer-to-peer network. And you could, instead of having just Alice and Bob's inputs, you could put like hundreds of different parties' inputs and then like all of their resulting outputs. And this would save them lots on fees and give them even more privacy. And the number of outcomes doesn't scale with your on-chain footprint. So if you had to do like a whole bunch of if-else's for your contract, that would get humongous, barring we don't get Taproot. But this is nice because all the difference in outcomes is calculated off-chain, so you're not increasing any of your transaction sizes. It's just signatures at the end of the day. And another great thing, they can be done on Lightning Network, which is fantastic. Today, they can be done within a channel where instead of broadcasting a funding and a closing transaction, you'd instead make your commitment transactions, create a DLC funding transaction, and then on close, you would just mutually close it back into your Lightning channel, and nothing would need to be broadcast on chain. But if another party cheats, then you would need to broadcast it on chain, like with any Lightning channel. But once we get payment points in Lightning, which either requires Schnorr or using ECDSA scriptless scripts, we can route them across their network. This is done by, with the payment point, we just take the Oracle signature and make it contingent on that by like adding the public key. But that's more complicated. We do have blog posts about this on Suredbits if you want to know more. And bricks, not Legos. So don't let other people tell you that you need like a whole new chain to do contracts or anything like that, or if it's any better than Bitcoin, because any new chain is going to be like not as private, not as composable. You're probably going to have to use their specified oracles. You can't pick your own. And they're going to probably make you use a token, which no one wants to do. So this is one of my, this is the 4 main points I say is why use DLCs. So if you're completely sold on topic, you want to help out or just dig your feet in it or just learn more, we have a very work in progress implementation on Bitcoin S. It's a Scala implementation. We have demos on our YouTube channel and blog at suredbits.com/blog, or you can try it out yourself. I have these slides posted on my Twitter. I have links to all of that. as well as we have a work in progress open standard that we're working on with Crypto Garage and some other open source contributors like from Chain Code and stuff. And we definitely need help with that. There's lots of more to do. And we have like a Slack channel that we talk in and other stuff, or just come to the GitHub and make issues and pull requests. So as like I talked about, we have tons of blogs if you want to learn more, from the very basics to the deep down what it looks like in the crypto sense. So if all of this went over your head or you fell asleep or whatever, I want you to take away this. You can do smart contracts on Bitcoin. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise that you need a new chain. And they're much, much more private and scalable than other systems because we're doing all the negotiation and execution generally off-chain. These are some links. You can't click them here, obviously, but I posted these all on my Twitter at Ben the Carman, and check them out if you want to learn more. Thank you. Oh.
Cool. Thanks, Ben. This was awesome. Whoa, I'm stuck behind the screen. Okay. This was weird. Cool. I'm gonna open this for questions if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
So okay, so you guys are gonna see a raise hand button on the right bottom corner of your screen. You can just click that, and then I can let you ask a question. Don't be shy. Let's see. Hero, go on.
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, great. I guess my question is, as people are setting up oracles, what are they going to be required to do in terms of maintaining uptime, and how are they going to be compensated in these setups?
Yeah, so this is something Suredbits thought a lot about. We currently have our own like mock DLC Oracle setup. Generally, we see the way to monetize it is by paying for the initial setup and then paying for the signature. So the initial setup just requires that you get the Oracle's pub key and R value. The R value is just going to be part of the signature later. So those are generally easy to distribute. What we've been doing is the paid standard on Lightning, where they send you a Lightning invoice, and then they encrypt the response with the Lightning preimage. So then once you pay the invoice, you get the Oracle pub key and R value like automatically. That's working really nice. So this way you have the staking mechanism to incentivize them to not cheat, and then they get paid for every user they have. And luckily with Lightning, you don't really exactly know who's paying your Lightning invoice, so you still preserve the user's privacy.
Cool. Next up, Alex.
Hello, thanks for the presentation. This is a bit of a noob question. Can you explain the discrete log in the naming? Why are they called like that exactly? What's the log and the discrete part exactly? Thanks.
It's actually a play on words. Discrete is misspelled from like the discrete log problem, where basically we're using discrete log as in like the cryptography sense, but it's also spelled discrete because it's private. But I mean, getting into like what a discrete log is kind of complicated, but just think of it as cryptography.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks for the question. Next up, Waxwing. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Ben. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yep.
Yeah, hi. This is a pretty vague question, but as you were talking, I thought it was interesting. You mentioned there's a kind of a scalability limit. Maybe it's like the scalability limit of the system is like it's linear with the number of signatures. So you might have like, I don't know, thousands of outcomes or something like that. I guess the sky's the limit, right? So if that is a scalability bottleneck, I was wondering, because, and this is just completely off the top of my head, is there some way you can exploit the linearity of Schnorr such that you don't actually have to publish a signature per outcome? This is a stupid question. I hadn't really thought it through. maybe you have an idea.
This is kind of related to that, but and there's ways to like kind of cheat it where you can reduce the number of outcomes. Like for example, if you're signing price, instead of signing like the price is 10K, you would sign like the price in the 10,000th place is 1, and every subsequent one is 0. And this way, so for your contract saying is Bitcoin over 10K, instead of needing to having a like an outcome for every single price possible, which would get ridiculous, you just have a one that's saying like is the ones place or the 10,000th place like greater than 1, and then is everything else 0 or something like that. So there's ways to like cheat it in that way.
Yeah, that's a similar trick to what they do in confidential transactions. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, thanks. Next up, e-currency hodler. Go ahead.
Hello. Hey, Ben. Over here.
Hey, how's it going?
So you mentioned that this can be done privately, and it sounded like you said it can be done anonymously. I'm wondering, have you considered what the government regulation, like how they would respond to a company offering a product like this?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what they're signing. Like, if you tried to build an assassination market with this, the government might come after you. But if you're trying to just sign like prices or something, I don't see that being as too big a problem. And the Oracle can do it very privately because they could just be running like some Tor address that no one knows where it is, much like a darknet market or something. And because all they need to do is publish signatures and their public key and R values. So it's not a lot of overhead. So generally you can, if it became a government problem, they could just become private and really just hide if they needed to.
Right, but I guess my question is like, wouldn't they hold you as the company who's either serving the Oracle or hosting the platform to create these contracts? Wouldn't they hold you liable then for whatever the thing is?
Yeah, like if you're saying like if a wallet was supporting this and then that was being used illicitly, that could be a problem. Yeah. But I mean, I guess that's the beauty of open source, where hopefully it would just go open source and distributed where it's impossible to shut down. But I mean, that is a problem that we haven't thought through too much, but hopefully it'll be solved either through privacy and open source solutions.
Thank you.
Cool. Let's see. We have Waxwing again. I don't know if it's by mistake or not. Let's see what he says.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Sorry.
That's cool. Okay, let's see. Mags. Go ahead, Mags.
Hello. So I'm not a developer, but I have a question. So it's awesome that you can put smart contracts on Bitcoin. Now I'm wondering, is it that this is one of those things where there still needs to be a lot more work, or can you do kind of projects or functions that are kind of equally complex as on any other kind of chain that everyone's always like, ooh, look at Ethereum, we can do so many smart contracts?
Yeah, like, so you couldn't like create a token or something with this, but like an Oracle can be signing anything. So if you wanted to do like some like Turing complete fancy script, as long as an Oracle can sign what is the outcome of it, you can create a DLC off of it. So you could even create like a sidechain peg in and peg out if you really wanted to with DLCs. It really could be anything. So kind of yes, but at the end of the day, it has to settle into Bitcoin back on chain.
Thanks.
Great. And yeah, we have Sergey. Go ahead, Sergey.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hey, Ben. Wondering if you know of any of these DLCs that are currently live and being used for something, however small, but like in a real scenario on the mainnet and so on.
I don't think anyone's using them today on mainnet, but we're actually working with these atomic loans guys that do like basically Bitcoin collateralized loans for like stable coins, and they're planning on using DLCs, it seems, in their V2. So it is kind of coming for like actual real world use cases. Otherwise, I don't know of any more real use cases.
Can you elaborate what they're going to use it for specifically?
Yeah, so their main product is you put up some Bitcoin, and then a counterparty will like loan them some stable coins, say like USDC, and then if they don't pay it back, then the other party gets the Bitcoin. So this they're planning to use DLCs in a way where currently they're doing it with like what I talked about in the traditional Oracle example, where they just have like an escrow mediator that signs transactions. But they'd like to switch it to just a price Oracle where their funds are then locked into DLC, where if they get like a price that would liquidate them, then the money goes to the party that deserves it. Or if the person pays it back, like on the Ethereum contract, that would produce like either like a scalar or something that then they could use to get their money back on chain.
So then they're using someone else as the Oracle, like some.
Yeah, because currently they're like the provider and the mediator, which isn't good on a regulatory perspective or just a trust perspective. So if they can say like you can have Blockstream or Kraken or whoever be your Oracle, that saves them a lot of regulatory pressure, and their users are then in a better setup.
Cool, thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Ben, I'm gonna keep throwing questions at you until you faint. Okay, so let us know.
I got all day.
Great. Cool. Next question from Charlie Lee. He's flying over there. Not flying, he's standing. Go ahead, Charlie.
Hey, Ben. Question about transaction fees for the closing contracts. Are those determined when the contract is open? And if so, what happens when there's a fee spike and transactions won't confirm?
Yeah, all the fees are generally determined beforehand. You can, if you're doing a mutually close where you're not using the Oracle signature, you could then just negotiate whatever you want. But if your counterparty does go away and fees are spiking, you just have to wait like for the mempool to clear or something. But there's no real threat unless your refund transactions lock time is not very far apart from your closing transactions lock time, where then the party could broadcast that. But generally, if you're doing a long-term contract, then you should be setting your fee rate high. If you're doing like I don't know, if it expires in an hour, then you should be able to do a general fee rate.
Awesome. Okay, next question from Merch.
Hi, I was wondering, you said that if the Oracle signs multiple times, that would reveal its private key or make it derivable. So does that mean that for every single item that they're gonna make an Oracle statement about, they have a different pub key, or how do the signatures of like multiple price Oracle statements, like every hour they want to sign a price, does then every hour need a separate public key?
No, so you use the same pub key, but you commit to an R value. What an R value is basically in the Snore signature, there's an S and an R value. So they're already picking half of their signature beforehand. So then when the Oracle signs like two different messages, since they committed to the same R value, like same half of the signature, but two different other halves, then you're able to steal a private key. But if they're just doing like an event every hour, they'll just do different R values per hour, and they'll be safe to use the same pub key.
I see. Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Sergey. No, sir. Thanks, Merch. Sorry. Okay, let's see. So we have another question from Hero, or let's see if it's on purpose. Yeah, great.
My question is about keeping oracles honest in general, and I'm wondering, is there some kind of setup where you have multiple parties providing a similar service but agreeing to join as one oracle, and then if 2 of 3 of them sign the truth and one of them is trying to mislead, that there's a penalty. So I'm just wondering what incentives there are, what mechanisms and schemes can exist that dissuade or prevent an oracle from being dishonest, especially around big events.
Yeah, so the oracles are using Schnorr signatures, so we get all the nice properties of those. So they can, you can do like threshold signatures and musig. So then with that, you could do something where, if you have like Kraken and Coinbase want to cooperate and like sign prices together, they could do a musig. And then so now, like if me and you were in a DLC, we can say we're using like those two's musig signature for our DLC, so we're trusting that they both agree on a price. And then we could also do like just multiple outcomes where, say like Kraken goes online, we still could just have a fallback option where it's just Coinbase's signature. As well as your other question was how to keep them honest. So like I talked about before in the presentation, you can have them stake funds on their oracle. So if they are cheating multiple people or they'd lose all their staking. So they either have to cheat everyone or no one, which is a nice property. But I mean, it's kind of impossible to stop them if they're just going to lie to everyone. But that I think is fine, because if you just include multiple oracles, then you mitigate that attack.
Awesome. Okay, and I think we have another question from eCurrency holder.
Hey, Ben, I actually have a follow-up or 2 questions to his question. How do you determine that an oracle is cheating, and how does that look like for them to lose their staking funds?
Yeah, so let's say I was an oracle and I cheated you like half of you guys, and I said like price. I told one person the price is 10K. I told another person the price is 1K. As long as you see both those signatures, it'd be pretty easy to recognize that they're from the same event because they have the same R value. Then you would just go and then look up on chain, or they probably have it like posted on somewhere that these are the funds we're staking on our oracle, and then you could just take the private key, turn it into a pub key, spend their money, and send it back to yourself. There's a little problems there though, because if say the oracle has like hundreds of customers and they cheat half of them, you kind of create like a race for the staked funds. But as long as like they're putting up a significant amount of money, you should know that they're betting it's safe for up to this amount, I guess.
So it sounds like in order for you to actually prove that they cheated, you need multiple people making the same bet, and they have to basically lie to one person, or they just needed different outcomes, right? Different signatures for different price points. Yeah. Okay. The next question I had to do, so you talked about privacy, like how this would be private because it kind of looks like a Lightning transaction, right? Or Lightning channel open and close. My question is like for these contracts, like what's the estimated time or length or duration of these contracts? Because if they get executed right away and I see a bunch of like two multi-sig transactions, then I don't know, I kind of feel like I could reasonably determine, oh, these are probably from the from DLCs.
Yeah, that's possible, but I mean, they can be extended over any amount of time. You could do like 3 years or 10 minutes, whatever you want, but they need to be like have some length, because you're just dealing with the block, like the Bitcoin chain at least, where you have 10-minute block times and you're using lock times, so transactions need to be like invalid based on their lock time. So like if you're doing like a daily one, maybe someone could try and say this is DLC, but still you're still getting the nice properties where you're breaking the common input heuristic. So and you can't tell like which party won, even if you did know whose inputs were in, because it's just addresses at the end of the day. So there's still that nice property as well.
Cool.
And okay, last question from Waxwing, I think.
Hi Ben. Yeah, just two things actually. The first one is related to what was just mentioned. The sharing the anonymity set with Lightning channel opens, at least on the open side. because we're not having like dual funding at the moment. You have two change outputs. I don't know whether that's something that can be looked into. It's a but that's a minor point. Yeah. Go. Yeah. So my second point was more an open-ended question. I think I remember. I don't know if it was you or people at Suredbits or various other people talking about implementing options contracts like I don't know, American style, European style, whatever. Is that actually a feasible thing with DLCs or is it something else?
To be honest, I don't know much about options contracts, but I mean, like I said earlier, at the end of the day, as long as an oracle is signing that X event happens, you can create something like a DLC about it. So if you're doing like, if you want to use like leverage, that kind of gets hairy, but there might be a way to do it. I'm not really sure about that.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Okay, great. Well, that was the last question. Good job, Ben. You went through all of those questions. It was a lot of questions, a long question section.
I try. Well, thank you guys. You're a great audience.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, yeah, so really thank you, Ben. This was awesome. And I want to also thank Kraken, who's helping support this every week. And also Andrew and CQ, who are here helping moderating this today. So that's awesome of you. Thank you. And don't forget that we do these every week. So you can, again, find us. We're Reckless VR. You can find us on recklessvr.com. We're also on Twitter and on Telegram, and you can get weekly invites to those events. And yeah, what we usually do, and we're going to do today too after these meetups, I'm going to let you have some time here, but then we're going to meet on VR Chat, which is another app. It's kind of like going out for drinks after a meetup. It's kind of cool. You can do like custom avatars, and it's a fun thing. So if you want to join us, you should. I think that Ben is going to join us there too, right?
Yep, planning on it.
Great, awesome. So yeah, so that's it. We'll probably stay here for a while, and in about 20 minutes or so, I'll start the VR chat thing. I'll send a message about that on Telegram. So yeah, that's it. And I guess it's time to give you all voice again. Yes, you can speak. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job, Ben.
Thank you.
Yeah, I should have asked, but what's the timeline? Timeline on like rolling out sort of.
Peter Schiff, you have new name.
Yeah.
Probably a while. Like we're still.
I keep the same skin.
Right now we're reworking the entire spec. So we have like a very. We have lots of plans of what we're doing for the spec, but not really spec'd out yet. And I mean, like we have it implemented in our wallet today, where you could like do one on testnet. Like I've done like 100 of them just testing it, but to actually like a real product out, it'll probably be like a year or two from now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me now.
I think the wax wing.
Yeah, send you the link to Crypto Monday. I would love it if we could share that with everybody here so that they can join on one day.
Yeah, I know. Talk to exchanges about people wanting to do options.
Crypto Monday.
We're not there yet to consider.
I don't think if I send the link here, it's gonna do something because they'll forget about it. But I can
they can click the.
Can you hear me?
That works too. I was gonna say they can click the interested button while they're in here, and it'll automatically have it in their list
Understood.
when they're signing up for this event.
Okay. Well, there's always one thing after.
If you send it to somebody here, they can open it in the browser, the personal browser, and then it'll allow you to favorite it.
Tremendous.
I see.
And then they could just close it and continue walking around and talking to everybody. You
Oh,
can just send it to
next to you
everybody all
talking,
at
but you
once
couldn't hear
rather
me.
than me sending it to
One
everybody
second.
individually.
One sec.
Yeah.
Oh, your avatar.
Drop it in the chat. That works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Great event, guys.
Cool.
Okay, it's funny because I'm standing right next to you in that room still. It's all good. No, I just popped in for a second. I just wondering what my name says on top, like in the room, but that's funny. You're still there though.
Yeah, they could do something where just they spend that staked fund right before they cheat everyone. But I mean, if you're like a high-end customer, you could do something where like you have like their public key plus my own public key staked in funds. So then if they cheat, I can spend the funds, but they can't. That makes sense.
Like an HTLC or something. Where
Should he
if
go
they
back
have
on
a
stage,
savings
or
state, then you can take it like in
What's that?
for the punishment.
should he go back on stage?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I mean, if you're an oracle and you want to cheat
No,
someone,
I think we'll
you
let
would
the
probably just like publish the wrong
let the atmosphere, the
Yeah.
personal
one. To
atmosphere.
collude with someone so that no one could get your private key.
Hey, Felix.
Yeah, so that's
Look
the
great
other
today.
thing that I wanted to ask.
Great
you
hair.
about. One thing,
Great
of
hair.
course, is giving two different signatures. But the other thing is just signing the wrong thing. And I guess, have you considered just making a second escrow for that, where somebody has oversight over
Second
them and
escrow?
can take funds if they do,
Yeah, you
I
could do
guess?
something like an escrow in case they do that, or you can also just have like multiple oracles. So you could say like, Coinbase cheated me, but Kraken, BitMEX and Bitfinex